Time now for our first ever guest on Schein Time. And this interview is presented by Noble. For people who train hard, compete harder, and bring that same relentless mindset every single day.
It's a St. John's sequel for the first time in 40 years. The St. John's Red Storm have won back-to-back Big East regular season titles.
We have won back-to-back championships with two different teams, and that's not easy to do. Real proud for St. John's, very proud for the players. It was a great win. Enjoyed this night. The players are really fired up. They're very, very excited.
Joining us is our first ever guest here on Schein Time, the Hall of Famer, the outstanding head coach at St. John's, my guy, the great Rick Pitino. Coach, how are you? Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Listen, I think that your squad this year is incredible. One of the best teams in college hoops, and your Johnnies win 16 of 17 down the stretch. Feels like a lifetime ago you started 4-3. What changed? What has impressed you the most about your squad?
You know, every year I think it's going to be difficult to be terrific early on. First year we had 11 new players. This year we have 9 new players. Next year we'll have 8 or 9 again. So it's difficult to really mesh early in the year. You can schedule easy and really not tell anything about your team. Or you can schedule difficult, as we did early in the season, play great competition, see where your blemishes are after playing them, and then work at those.
The one loss down the stretch was UConn. It was ugly, and you weren't happy postgame, and it was vintage Rick Pitino. I loved every single second of it. But wow, did your team respond in the final 3, including destroying Villanova the game after UConn? What was the lesson you wanted your team to learn, and what did you learn about your team?
Well, we had a great walkthrough the day of the game, great practice leading up to it. We were prepared, but they were better at every phase of the game. They were hurting from the loss at home, and they came out with great fire. The crowd was incredible, and I was very soft-spoken in the locker room. I said, let's talk tomorrow. And the next day came, and all I said to them was, it's the first time in 3 years I didn't watch the film. I said, but you know, when I was at Louisville, we lost to Providence by 31 and went to a Final Four, and we lost to Notre Dame by 32 and went to an Elite Eight. So I said, throw the game out. I said, the only thing you can do to make up for that loss is beat Villanova. And they went out and did a great job against Villanova.
Listen, terrific job by you, the players, and obviously Zuby Ejiofor. I mean, he is unreal. Coach, I love watching him play. I mean, his work ethic, his intensity, his defense. He's so reliable on offense, unselfish. Just named the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East, and deservedly so. How would you describe how special he is? What makes him so great and a joy to coach?
Well, obviously you want your players to reach their potential, and when he came in, his hands weren't great, wasn't a terrific shooter, wasn't a really good passer. Now he leads the team in assists, rebounds, scoring, and block shots. He's the Defensive Player of the Year, first team All Big East, and I think tomorrow he's going to win Scholar Athlete of the Year possibly, as well as Player of the Year. So it's been quite a trip for Zuby.
Your smile when you started describing how, he didn't have those hands. I mean, it's incredible. And I know the way you coach and you help your players. And let's get into this because I think he should be unequivocally the Big East Player of the Year. He would become the first Johnny player to be the Player of the Year and the Defensive Player in the same season. Only 7 players in conference history have done that. The last one was Josh Hart in 2017. So the floor is yours. What's the case for him as the Player of the Year in the conference?
Well, I'd be honest with you. He was a unanimous first-team pick. So I think it's not announced yet, but I think he's definitely going to win it. He's just been remarkable, great leader. He coaches in the timeouts more than any assistant coach.
Wow.
When I'm done speaking, he says things. And he says, don't let up, win this next 4-minute segment. Defensively, you have to talk better. He's always got a great message at the end of every timeout.
Every level you've been a coach, defense is a staple. Best defense in the Big East, 14th in certain metrics in the country. What makes this version so good on defense?
Well, we've gotten better each week. Last year's team was great defensively because we had Kadari Richmond at the point, and we could switch the 5 onto the 1 and the 1 onto the 5. And even Davon Smith at 6 feet was physically tough. We can't do that, obviously, with Dylan Darling or Ian Jackson, but we still can switch 2, 3, and 4, and 5 without any problem at all. When you could switch like that, it helps your defense.
Coach, you just referenced him. Steve Serby in the Post just had a terrific Q&A on Sunday with Dylan Darling. How would you describe what he's brought to the team this year?
Well, Dylan he had to get adjusted to the Big Sky to the Big East, where physical play is much more prevalent. And he's just, we call him Big Bells because he has them. And we now have an award I ring a church bell at the end, and we give the Big Bells Award to the guy who made a big difference in that game. And Ruben Prey won it against Seton Hall. Zuby won it the time before, and Big Bells has won it twice.
Listen, you referenced it at the beginning of our conversation like it was just matter of fact, from this year to next year to last year to this year. You really are the master of the transfer portal. And, a lot of coaches, in all different college sports can complain about things. How do you do it so well? What's the key?
Well, it is really difficult because you're watching all types of film in a very short window. You're speaking to agents. You're not sure who's going in the portal. So you've got to get 3 or 4 at each position. Then you've got to understand the work ethic. That's the number one key. Is he willing to pay the price to work? And if he is, then you have a good chance. Often players will ask me, can you get me to the NBA level? And I always say, absolutely not. I can get you to reach your potential. If that's good enough for the NBA, they will decide that. And it's up to the Knicks, it's up to the Celtics, it's up to the San Antonio Spurs. They determine whether you're a draft choice. But we will get you to reach your potential.
There's nothing like the Big East tournaments at Madison Square Garden. It's just an amazing New York sporting event. How do you describe the ambiance? And also for St. John's, the significance?
Well, let me say this. It's last year, it was as good a feeling as I've ever had as a basketball coach. And we won at Louisville back-to-back Big East championships. But it was never as good as St. John's because there was such a drought, such a long time. There was such happiness amongst the administration, amongst the student body, amongst the fans, that it was great to be part of that.
I've always been of the opinion they should move the 1 seed to a night game instead of noon. Just a little nitpick. Where do you stand on that? I'm curious, especially as a 1 seed.
I haven't thought about that, but that's a great point. You're probably right. I think being at the 6:30 game for your fans, it would be better for the fans. I like it as far as the team is concerned, playing at 12 o'clock. From a scouting standpoint, it helps us prepare for the next day. We have more time.
If you win the Big East, what seed do you feel like St. John should get in the NCAA tournament?
Probably a 4 seed. I think that's realistic.
Yeah, I agree. And frankly, I think you're a 4 seed anyway, but I think a 4 seed makes sense. How would you characterize the play of the Big East Conference this year in terms of the overall competition and getting you guys ready for the NCAA tournament?
Well, it's a tough conference in terms of the coaches do an unbelievable job of preparation, but the conference is down. There's no question about it. Certainly Villanova's up, DePaul is up. But Providence, on any given night, they've got as much talent as any Big East team, and they can beat you. But the conference is definitely down. We need Georgetown to come back. We need Providence to come back. We need Butler and some of the other teams, Xavier, to come back. We need it. And look, let's face it. There are 5 or 6 teams in the conference spending $10 million in the NIL, and then there's the Shaheen Holloway, who's probably going to be coach of the year. He's spending $5 million, half. My son Richard spending half. Butler spending half. So we need to get those other guys up where Creighton and Georgetown and Providence and Villanova and us and Connecticut certainly are, then you'll see a better conference.
Yeah, I echo that completely. Now, you reference Richard. He's sensational. Look, Providence is, family business. If he asked you for an opinion, would you tell him to take the Providence job?
He can't take the Providence job. He loves his alma mater, but he can't. He has a gigantic buyout. And also, he would never leave a job after 1 year. He just doesn't believe in that. He loves the town of Cincinnati, the city of Cincinnati, but he would never ever leave Xavier after 1 year. He wants to rebuild that up. Certainly, he loves living there, and although he loves Providence and it is his alma mater, and he's like me. I absolutely love PC. One of my favorite jobs of all time.
So officially, we could take him out of that conversation.
Yeah, he's not even a candidate.
Perfect. Great. Jim Boeheim once told me, our mutual friend, you are the best X's and O's coach that has ever coached in college basketball. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's very nice. Probably not true, but it's very nice. I think what the culture that we bring to the table is we try not to leave any stone unturned. We try to get every player development during the mornings to get them to their highest point. We try to turn over every scouting, every analytic to get ready for an opponent. But there are a lot of great coaches in our game. I think that the way you have to look at it is you got to love the game. You got to eat, sleep, and drink the game. You got to put players first. And if you do all that, you'll be successful.
I always love talking to Boeheim about teams that can actually cut down the nets. I think college basketball is in great hands right now, a lot of great teams. I see about 12, 13, including St. John's, that could win the entire thing. Big picture landscape in college basketball, how many can ultimately win a title this year?
Well, you bring up some great points. I think the last 2 years in college basketball, because of the NIL, kids not moving on, the foreign influence, instead of going to the EuroLeague, they come to college because we can pay them better.
That's right.
So the talent on the court is the best I've seen the last 2 years. So I look at different tiers. I think right now Duke, Michigan, Arizona, and Florida, they're the top four in their tier. Then you have the next tier of teams like UConn, Illinois, certainly Houston. And then you have the third tier. I'm probably missing one or two there. And the third tier, I would put us, and teams like us, like Gonzaga, teams like that could possibly get to a Final Four.
We're on the same page in terms of ranking those teams, and I agree with you completely on the tiers. All right, a couple of fun quickies to end this. How about the Yankees this year? I wanted a little bit more for our Yankees, my Yankees, your Yankees in the offseason. Know how much you love the Yankees. I'm a diehard fan. What do you think about our Yankees for this year?
Yeah, I wish they would have picked up the bottom of the lineup. I wish they had a little better hitting, certainly. The pitching hopefully gets healthy and we see our stars come back. Now the Giants are picking up great people. My guy Chris Mara is doing a phenomenal job there. They just got a great punter, linebacker. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. I wish the Yankees, the bottom third of the lineup, I wish was a little bit better, but maybe some of the young guys will come on.
I agree with you on both the Giants and the Yankees. Now, the last time I saw you was at Gus's in Harrison, and I love that place. So I'm curious, your favorite Westchester place to dine?
By far, Sergio's in Portchester. Great ambiance, festive. People are dancing. The music's great. The food is terrific. It's always packed. Sergio's without question.
All right, last one for you. You know, a little unknown fact. Every once in a while, we could play tennis with the same guy, our guy David Graham, when Ronnie brings you over to where we like to play. So give me a Rick Pitino tennis game scouting report.
Extremely mediocre. When I play Ron, he gives me, we start 40 love me, and I may win one game if he just hits it in the net. But Ron's a tremendous guy, and this summer all my grandkids went with Graham, and he did a fabulous job of teaching them. They were all on their high school tennis team. So, Ron is one of my best buddies right now, and we hang out almost daily.
Yeah, Ron's the best. His wife is a gem. My kid's pediatrician,
Dr.
so
Amy.
she is outstanding. So, Coach, listen, I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for your family. Thrilled for St. John's basketball. Enjoy the Big East tournament, the NCAA tournament. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Great. Thanks for having me.